Hey, what's going on, faithful? Thanks for joining us on this week's Niners News Update. Hope you guys are all having a great week. Oh, and also happy Halloween in advance, because
Oh yeah, it is almost Halloween. I actually dressed up this year in a little bullshit store costume.
Little bullshit store costume. Dude, I've seen so many good memes for I've seen so many good NFL-related memes for the Spirit Halloween costumes. I assume you've seen some. I'll have to put some up on the screen as well, some of the best ones I've seen. But yeah, definitely a good time there. So we'll start out on a positive note. Happy Halloween. On a less than positive note, the Niners did go ahead and drop their second straight game to the Chiefs. Honestly, I'm not really shocked. I definitely didn't expect us to win this game. I mean, looking at the schedule all season long, I mean, if you're going to do that thing that everybody does where you go through and you kind of mark your wins and you're out. Like, I was always kind of marking this game as a loss. Just because, honestly, we don't match up well against the Chiefs. Obviously, I have traumatic experiences, as I'm sure all of us do, about, that game in 2019. Where
that was hard to watch.
Yeah. And it was almost even worse. I mean, we couldn't stop them at all. At least in 2019, we started out playing great defense. We stopped the Chiefs on the first possession of the game. And, I mean, really not again at any point through the rest of the game. I mean, after the win, the Chiefs are 5-2. That loss dropped us down to 3-4. 2 straight losses now after the Atlanta Falcons loss. Mahomes was pretty close to perfect. He was 25 of 34, 423 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. He did throw 1 pick, which was a very nice play made by Talanoa Hufanga, who now has a team-high 3 interceptions. So he continues to play amazing every week. But, I mean, the whole defense played less than spectacular in this game. I mean, Mahomes sacked once by our defense that came in ranked first in the NFL and second in sacks. Only got the 1 sack. It was by Bosa, which brings him up to 7 on the season. Yeah. I mean, he's got 7 now through the 6 games he's played in. So he's tied for second in the league. Matthew Judon for the Patriots has 8.5. And he just pulled ahead with the most recent game against the Bears when he sacked Justin Fields 2.5 times. But Bosa, he leads in pressures. He leads in a lot of things like that. Quarterback hits. So he's definitely having a great year. And that's with missing 1 game already. So hopefully he continues to play great. Like I said, Mahomes went off. Jimmy didn't play a bad game other than the fact that he was sacked 5 times. I mean, he definitely. I mean, that part of that's on the offensive line as well. Part of that's on Jimmy holding the ball too long. But Jimmy statistically had his best game of the season where he was 25 of 37, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Again, sacked 5 times. Quarterback rating of 39.6. Passer rating of 99.3. Pacheco for the Chiefs was a leading rusher. Seems like he's kind of taken over for Edwards-Helaire. Edwards-Helaire got the touchdown. He had 6 carries for 32 and a touchdown did Helaire. Pacheco had 8 for 43. Mecole Hardman, their wide receiver, scored on a couple of jet sweeps and read option type plays. He had two rushing touchdowns. Former Niner, Jerick McKinnon, had a couple of big catches and runs against us. So they killed us with 112 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Alternatively, on the ground, our leading rusher was Jeff Wilson, who had 7 carries for 54 yards, good for a 7.7-yard clip. So Jeff Wilson continues to play really good, just obviously limited opportunities. We were down for a lot of that game, so we only ran 21 times for 101 yards, so we didn't stick with the run as much as obviously Kyle would have liked. Obviously, a good Niner game plan, you're going to see a lot more like 30, 35, 40 runs for us. And obviously, if we're running the ball 20 times, it means we're probably throwing a lot more and we're probably playing from behind, as was the case in this one. On a positive note, McCaffrey did make his debut.
I was going to say, it's his first game with you guys.
Despite only being with the team for 48 hours and knowing a handful of plays. I mean, he obviously, they got him a playbook ASAP. He was trying to get familiarized with the offense ASAP. And he came out and he played pretty well for what he knew. I mean, he was in there for a total of 22 plays. He got 8 carries for 38 yards, good for 4.8 yards a carry, long of 12. And then he had 2 catches for 24 yards. And then on the other plays, he was just lining up to draw coverage and be a decoy. Because obviously, anytime Christian McCaffrey's out there, you got to cover CMC. Can't leave that man open. I mean, he's going to kill you if you do. And then also on the ground, worth mentioning, not that he did much, but Tyrion Davis-Price, who had been injured, made his return, and he carried the ball 2 times for 4 yards. So good to see him. This is only, I think, his 3rd game being active of the season. He's our rookie 3rd-round pick. So good to see him out there. Obviously, the Niners running back depth, extremely deep now. There's also been rumblings that the Niners are listening to potentially trade offers for Jeff Wilson Jr. Even though he's been as good as good as he's been. Reason for that is Elijah Mitchell. So we've got the Rams this week, right? So you figure he's probably going to play this week. And then we've got the bye. And then the trade deadline is November 1st. So he probably plays tomorrow. And if they move him, it'll probably be like Monday or Tuesday. And I mean, Elijah Mitchell's supposed to come back week 9. So if you figure we'll have CMC, we'll have Elijah Mitchell, we'll have Tyrion Davis-Price, who's healthy now. We've got a lot of running backs. We've also got Jordan Mason, who's been active, but he's been pretty much relegated to special teams for most of these games. Plus, they've got Tevin Coleman on the practice squad. So they've got I mean, if they're not actively trying to move him, they're just listening to offers. If you know, I mean, obviously we just traded away 4 draft picks for McCaffrey, and we don't have a first after the Trey Lance trade. So if we can get some draft capital back, I mean, I'm sure the team would be inclined to try to do that depending on what they were offered. But
yeah, I would say it definitely depends on what it is, because I mean, he's been your top rusher. So
yeah, I would hate to lose him. I think Jeff Wilson's been a consistent good player for us for a lot of years. I mean, he ended up leading the team in rushing a couple years ago with 600 yards. I mean, he's been a productive player for us. So I definitely, I'm in no hurry to see him leave.
Yeah, obviously. Definitely.
And then, worth mentioning as well, Brock Purdy made some history. There's only been 7 quarterbacks ever taken last in the draft overall, Brock Purdy being the 7th. And he is the first one to ever attempt to pass in an NFL game. So, previously, I think Ryan Suckup, the Buccaneers and former Chiefs kicker, was the most known Mr. Irrelevant because he's gone on to have a good career. But usually that is not a position where there's a lot of notoriety. I mean, they have a big ceremony for you at the draft, but that's usually all it is. I mean, usually you're not producing on Sundays. You might get some preseason snaps, that's about it. But Brock Purdy got his first action. Obviously, he's the backup quarterback right now with Trey being injured. Brock was 4 out of 9 for 66 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. He did throw a couple of good deep balls to Ray McLeod, which was pretty good. I mean, Ray on the receiving end, 4 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown that he caught from Jimmy. Kittle had his best game of the season so far. I mean, it seems like each week he plays a little bit better. Obviously, he's coming back from that groin injury. He had 6 for 98 in his first touchdown of the season. Ayuk, after catching having 83 receiving yards last week, he had 7 for 82 this week. Debo only 5 for 42 on 7 targets, so surprising that we didn't get him more involved. Although we'll talk more about Debo here in a minute. Kyle Juszczyk, 3 for 34 reception-wise before breaking his finger, although he stayed in the game. Juwan Jennings had a couple catches. Oh, wow, look at this, dude. Kittle and Kelsey on National Tight End Day. So this was officially National Tight End Day, both with 6 catches for 98 yards. Kittle obviously had the touchdown, but
the exact
they
same
both
amount.
had the exact same yards, yeah, on National Tight End Day.
And they're the two
That is-
best
that is
tight ends in the league. That's literally wow.
It's like they literally. I mean, and I
Rigged.
guess
No, just kidding.
you've got to give the edge to Kittle because he got the touchdown. But yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
he showed up against the best tight end in the league, arguably. So the Chiefs' leading receiver in this game wasn't Kelsey; it was Juju, and Juju's been playing great for the Chiefs. I mean, he had 7 for 124 and a touchdown. MVS Marquez Valdez-Scantling 3 for 111. Kelsey again 6 for 98. McKinnon, our former running back, 2 for 36. And then McCole Hardman, who we mentioned, got 2 rushing touchdowns, also had a receiving touchdown. So they killed us for 423 through the air.
They're she's that even the average catch for all of them is all extremely high. Like
our number one defense coming into the game, dude, got absolutely demolished. I mean, anybody that has to play the Chiefs, I feel bad for, because I mean, if that's what they can do to the number one defense, I mean, they hung 44 on us.
God.
And what we talked about on last week's show is we had to hold the Chiefs to field goals. And not only did we not hold the Chiefs to field goals, I mean, we couldn't stop them at all. They went down the field at will and scored touchdowns, but they held us to field goals 3 times. So, you know, credit to Robbie Gould for going 3 for 3 on the game. I mean, Robbie obviously coming off a knee injury just a couple weeks ago, hasn't missed a kick since. Robbie fucking OG, the best kicker in the fucking league. You know, a little bit biased there, but
Justin Tucker might have that
JT
one,
would have an argument to say about that, but I do love Robbie. Second best kicker in the league. He doesn't have the distance anymore, but goddamn, if he's not consistent.
Yeah.
And if he misses, Robin Maddock, exactly. And if he misses, he's usually injured. Like if he starts missing like 2 out of 3, you're like, oh fuck, is it his groin again? And then you see him end up on the injury report, and you're like, well, I knew Robbie wasn't right. Yeah, anyway. Fucking credit to fucking Robbie for fucking doing his due diligence. He made a 50-yarder. Obviously, that's probably around the extent of his range at this age. I mean, I think he could probably make it up to about 55.
I hope so. I hope he can at least make it, because, I mean, you usually don't have to take anything. They don't usually take anything below 55 or above 55, so he at least needs to be able to make that. But you get those 52, 53 yarders sometimes. Like, if he can't make that, that'd be an issue.
Yeah. Well, his long in the season, I think, is 51. So he's demonstrated the ability to still hit from 50 and a little beyond. And then, you know, the NFL kicks thing, where they always say, like, good from. I feel like one of his kicks said it was good from, like, 53 or 54. So it's like, all right, you know, it made it through the net with some velocity. That's what you like to see. And then on the defensive side, not a lot of standouts. I mean, normally we're talking and singing the praises of the defense. I mean, this week there were a lot more offensive standouts, and that's because we had to try to catch up with the Chiefs. Charvarius Ward, against his former team, we got him from the Chiefs. He was the leading tackler. He had 10. Fred Warner had 6. Nick Bosa, 4 tackles, 1 sack. Demo, 4 tackles. Talanoa, 4 tackles. Ibukam, 3 tackles. So Jimmy Ward, playing with a fucking cast on his hand, had 2 tackles. Jimmy's going to be playing in the nickel this week to try to stop I think Tyler Higbee. They're going to have him on Higbee this week in the Rams game. But man's playing with a big club on his hand. I mean, he's obviously not 100%, but he is gutting it out. So good to see that.
It's crazy that they let him play with that. I mean, I imagine it's got to weigh like extra. Seems like it could be.
Yeah, I mean, and it's got to probably be, I would imagine to a degree, it's got to be some type of a hard enough cast to, you know, to where you're not going to like hurt it on a helmet, but like also soft enough to where you can't like club another player out with it.
Right.
Imagine he's just like clotheslining players with this fucking cast, gaining an unfair advantage.
Yeah, it seems odd that they allow that, but all right.
And NFL blitz football, baby.
Right.
Knock the fucking ball 300 yards up in the air. Just hope for the best. But yeah, I mean, this week we have the Rams. So obviously, as far as that goes, we have demonstrated in the past that we have the Rams number in the regular season. They did get us last year in the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, it was a one-score game, very close game. But Jimmy G, 8-0, or I think it was, I think it's 8-0 now against the Rams in the regular season. So Jimmy plays his best football against the Rams. Surprisingly enough, for whatever reason, even though our offensive line is still, kind of a work in progress, McGlinchey hasn't been playing that well. He's struggling coming back from an injury. I know that's part of it, but obviously he's struggled in the past as well. But we gave up 5 sacks against the Chiefs. Last time we played the Rams, though, they didn't get to us at all. I mean, as we mentioned, Danny Brunskill is notably Aaron Donald's daddy. Obviously, for whatever reason, Daniel Brunskill, a relatively unknown in NFL circles, seems to have his way with Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald never gets to, knock on wood that it doesn't change this week. But, I mean, Danny Brunskill, it plays great against him. And also, Aaron Banks, our second-round pick from last year, has been rated by Pro Football Focus. So, second-year offensive lineman Aaron Banks is currently ranked as the 8th highest-graded player, not lineman, 8th highest-graded player in the NFL with a 91.5 grade currently. So Aaron Banks playing some great football alongside Trent Williams now that he's back on that offensive line. Last week was a little bit of a downside, but I think a lot of that was more on McGlinchey. So hopefully he can clean it up a little bit because obviously he's been a little bit of a liability. Former first-round pick, you'd expect a little bit of a better performance. He's always been a better run blocker than pass blocker, but you got to clean that up. 5 sacks last week. We definitely can't do that against the Rams. But I hope that we can continue our domination of the Rams. Obviously, they're always a tough matchup. They always play us hard. And we've got a few injuries. So we're going to have a few key players out in this game. Most notably, I think Deebo Samuel is the key with the hamstring. He's obviously had issues with his hamstring in the past. He aggravated it last week against the Chiefs.
I do think you guys, even with him out, I mean, given how, I know it was a loss, but if Kittle and Ayuk and all them, and then Ray McCloud getting like it was in this game, you should be fine.
Ayuk's having his best season ever. I mean, coming off back-to-back games where he's had 80-plus receiving yards and two receiving touchdowns a couple weeks ago against the Falcons. Ayuk is by far having his best season so far. Also, that'll probably mean with him out, we're going to see Juwan Jennings step up. Although Juwan Jennings is also listed on the injury report. He didn't participate in practice, although he is questionable to play, also with a hamstring injury. I expect we probably will see him. If we don't see him, though, it'll probably be more of rookie Danny Gray, who has seen limited action so far, and then probably more of Ray McCloud. Obviously, Ray McCloud had his best game with the Niners last week, scoring a touchdown and having 65 yards receiving. So we have other players that can step in, but nobody can quite do what Deebo does. But yeah, you're right. I mean, hopefully we can still get the win.
You do lose that the specialty that he brings to it that you can run. But
yeah, and I mean,
think you should be still get,
against the Rams, we always like to deploy the Deebo special where we use him out of the backfield, and we won't have that element. But we do have something that we've never had against the Rams before, and that's Mr. CMC returning to the Bay Area, where he played in college at Stanford, and then where his daddy, Ed McCaffrey, played in 1994 for the Super Bowl champion Niners.
That's pretty
about that,
honestly.
right? His dad played for the Niners. Yeah. Dude, his dad played for the Niners when Mike Shanahan was the Niners OC in 1994. Christian now plays for Kyle Shanahan. So their sons are now in the same role. That's pretty trippy.
That's crazy.
And Kyle used to babysit for the McCaffrey children. Kyle's your daddy now. But yeah, I'm stoked as hell to have CMC. At first I was like, well, I don't know what we could give up for him. We don't have a first round pick. I mean, the Niners found a way around it. We gave up about everything else, but
I know, right? Like,
I mean, if that man stays healthy and we get Elijah Mitchell back, dude, I mean, we could get hot at the right time. I mean, the Niners didn't start particularly well last season. I think we started 2-5, and we got hot and got into the playoffs at 10-7. So it's not out of the question. I mean, this team can play bully ball down the line and just really dominate teams. And once we get that running game going, but it starts with a win over the Rams. Obviously, we have to get this win first, because after this win, we could go to 4-4, head into the bye week, get healthy. That's what we need. But we'll recap the Rams. Yeah, absolutely. But one last thing to mention: Emmanuel Mosley, our starting corner, did have successful knee surgery for his torn ACL. So he's on the road to recovery. Hopefully, he'll be back at some point next year. Definitely well wishes to him. As far as other players that aren't expected to play, was there any? Oh, Dre Greenlaw's been ruled out with a calf, and Juice is ruled out with that gnarly finger. I mean, he stayed in and finished the game, but obviously his finger was like noticeably broken. Yeah. And let's see. And Eric Armstead is out again with a foot and ankle injury. He's only played in 3 games all season, so you hate to see that. Maybe Jason Verrett, though, might make his season debut because he's questionable. So this will be the first time we've seen him since Game 1 of last year.
It should prove to be a good game, though, as it always is with the Rams.
Rams-Niners week. We're playing in SoFi, which is, of course, Levi's South. So, I mean, dude, the ticket projections were like projected to be 59% Niners for the ticket sales. So it's going to be a lot of red in that stadium this Sunday.
Hell yeah.
Go Niners. Join us next week.
Go Niners.
And like and subscribe if you're not already. And that's going to do it for the Extra Point Show this week. Make sure that you subscribe if you're not already. It really helps us out and helps us grow. Give us a like as well.
Absolutely. And if you're a Washington fan or a San Francisco fan, make sure to always check out the Commanders Countdown and the Niners News Update.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
See you next week.